Hey, Ray Cashcare, welcome to the Interrupted Podcast, brother. Man, I'm stoked that you took in the time today to sit down and have a conversation. I know the audience is excited as well as I've released a little bit teasers out there.
Yeah, I'm pumped. Thank you. I appreciate you with the flexibility. It's been a crazy week. We've had some offline discussions, but thank you for being flexible.
Absolutely, man. Hey, when you're grinding out there and we're trying to accomplish so much, both professionally, personally. There's a lot of talk out there about balance and weighing things, and then it really comes down to just prioritizing, which I admire how open you are about a lot of that prioritization, even within the socials and things you share about your own life, and trying to pick which is most important is going to bring the most value to those we love
Hmm.
and those we care about is so vitally important.
I love it. Sorry, I'm just taking this boom. So why did you, but this is something I do. I do something a little different. Why? Here you go. I'm going to interview you for a second.
Oh man, here we
So
go on the
here we
spot.
go. See, this is,
Okay.
why did you want to interview me? Is something I always ask people. People are like, no one's ever asked me that before, but I think it's a genuine question.
Yeah, no, I love it, brother. Well, look, as we are inundated with so much in terms of socials, online email blasts, we have to pick where our attention is going to go. And my attention is on my family,
Hmm.
on myself, and then I look to, okay, based on who's poured into me, what I've learned, how can I go out and bring people to the audience that I'm trying to share a good message with. And as I've been following you, it's been a couple years now, and it's just I keep consistently coming back. Maybe it's the algorithm, right? I keep staying on your feed too long because there's a charismatic element that goes beyond showmanship with you, in my opinion. That
Thank you.
it seems to be deeply authentic from what I can gather from a social media relationship, if you want to call it that, sir. And really, when I see that, I go beyond motivation for myself. That's like, hey, I'm going to grind more today because I see someone else that I respect from a distance, and then I'm trying to pass that on to the people that I'm in charge with leading professionally
Mhm.
and my
Yeah.
family. So to boil that down, it's the duration in which I've seen the message you're putting out. It came to a point where it's like I have to see if I can get some face-to-face time with you in a selfish way. This time is important to me because I'm learning from you and hearing from you, and then it pushes out to the audience that is hearing the podcast. So maybe a lengthy explanation of that, but it comes down to that charismatic element that moves beyond showmanship. And when I choose people that I want to talk to and have a conversation with, that to me rises to the surface. Is this something that they're just putting out there because it's going to bring people to them, or is it actually something they're an extension where it's value going out?
I love it. All right. Well, let's dig in then. Let's go. Let's grind, brother.
Cool, man. Well, look, you've been on so many shows. Your name is out there. People know Cash, and I'd like if you would, just for context, give us a little bit of background just on you, and then I really have some focal questions on kind of that building a tribe, bettering ourselves, motivation, things like that that I'd really
Yeah.
want to get to my audience. But context is important, sir.
Yeah. So, 51 years young. I'm a Baltimore native, married to a woman I have no business being with. I got two great kids. I adopted my son from my wife's previous marriage. I didn't. His dad wasn't the male role model that he should be, and with my past, my father was murdered when I was 11. I didn't really have a male role model figure, that father figure, that male figure in my life to help with guiding and direction and everything else. So I adopted him, and then we have a 14-year-old daughter. Oh, it's a handful in itself. And for the last couple of years, I was a Navy SEAL. I was in the Navy for 12 years. 8 of that was a SEAL. Went over to the agency and did a bunch of stuff with them, the CIA, for about 14 years or 40 deployments. And up until March, I worked with Bedros Keuillian, founder of Fit Body Bootcamp, Fortune 500 CEO, and all this, who really taught me how to do what you love and love what you do. And my passion is working with kids, motivational speaking, and I do coaching. I do a couple courses with Tim Kennedy and Michael Chandler of UFC and Dan Fleshman. But the one significant thing that's always worked for me is I just have a good attitude. I mean, there's days where I don't want to get out of bed, but like perfect example. I'm on the phone today talking to the president, not number 2, not number 3 of Dodge, because he's a friend of mine, because I'm thinking about getting a new Hellcat, even though I spoke to the president of Ram about 8 months ago and got a new TRX. Now, I'm not a money guy, but it's all on how you present yourself. And that's the one thing I've learned, that the way you present yourself with the attitude and the effort that you put forth. I mean, a dumb Irish kid from Baltimore, if I can do it. And again, I don't know what that, I always say that I can do it, as in I'm living life to the fullest. It's not about the money and the monetary standpoint. It's about doing what I love and loving what I'm doing and having some type of, I don't really believe in the work-life balance, but the synergy to, still be able to spend time with the family and do this and do podcasts. Because from an outside source, I look like a chicken running around with my head cut off. But in the grand scheme of things, everything it's controlled chaos. I'm a Baltimore Ravens fan. It's controlled chaos. So that's who I am. That's what I do. And my sole purpose and goal in life is to leave an impact. My biggest fear is the fear of being average and not really leaving a mark on society. So there's 51 years rolled up into about 3 minutes.
Yeah, no, right on. I appreciate you sharing that. Well, when you think back over that 51 years, was there a catalyst or a genesis of this mindset? Obviously, being introduced to things you even in that 3 minutes shared in terms of resiliency and working through pressure and difficult situations. Is there a specific mentor or a key time where you just made the transition? It's like, I have to drive at something different, maybe if I'm going to make something of my life, that you can really go back to?
That's a great question. So I didn't really have a great upbringing. I wasn't really told that I would amount to anything. And that question where you have it, where I kind of call it my first incoming fire, where you have that life-changing moment. I was going to a community college, getting crappy grades, doing a lot of bad things. We'll leave it at that, drinking and some other things, right? Back in the day, you could get away with a lot of that. And I was going nowhere fast. And, it's funny. I told my wife this story. I can't remember like a whole lot because of things that have happened to me and battle and stuff, but I can remember that day, what I was wearing. It was raining out, but I remember washing my face. I snuck back in the house. It was super late from going to a bar, and I'm not proud of it, but I remember I was, drinking and driving, doing stuff that we used to do. And I'm speaking to a police officer. Sorry. I don't know what the statute of limitations is.
That's real. But, you're good. That's real though. That's real.
Yeah. And I had an epiphany. I just had a moment of clarity where I was washing my face, I was kind of messed up, and I looked up and I didn't see me. I saw my father, who I was abused as a child, who was a biker, who was a brawler, who was this and who was that. And it was right at that moment. It's something from a higher power, if you will. I don't want to sound too, because I have become religious in my older days. So my wife is very spiritual. I said right there and then, I have to do this. And that's where I've always come up with my mantra, I bet on me. I have shirts when I speak. I say that. I identify as a cockweed. I'm a cockroach and a weed. You can't kill me, right? I've trained with Tim Kennedy. He's like, why don't you just stay down? I won't stay down. Getting up is a privilege, right? Being alive is a privilege. And at that moment, I said, I have got to make a change. And for me, it was the Navy. I needed, I was going to go to jail if I didn't. I mean, I was doing a lot of dumb things that I'm not proud of, getting a lot of fights, just you name it. I was kind of like the billboard for Jerry Springer for a white trash kid getting in trouble. And, I joined the military, wanted to be a SEAL. I didn't know much about it. Kind of went in and was like, screw it. I bombed the ASVAB, which is a vocational test that it's a placement test for people that don't know what that is. I didn't have the grades or the scores to do it. It took me 3 years of grinding, of studying, of dedicating myself, because I figured out what I was put on this earth to do, and that was to be a Navy SEAL, to be the best of the best. I did it. Served my country honorably, moved on, did the agency work for a bunch of years, and now I am living life to the fullest. But it all goes back to that moment, that one split second when you're sitting there, and I can remember the water's just dripping off my face, and it was cold because it was raining, and I was just like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Because I honestly think, and whenever I speak or I do my coaching, and a lot of individuals that I work with are down on their luck, or they're this and they're that, and it's always like the negative entity, and I'm like, how can you say that to me? And like, what do you mean? I'm like, I said, let's just go back in time, right? Okay. Your mother and father, right? Or whatever the circumstances were, the moment of conception, right? When two people are doing something, right? Sperm's released, it's got to go. Out of all the hundreds of million other competitors that there were, whatever the number is, you, the people that I'm looking at, you won. You, like, literally, you won the lottery. You won the greatest lottery of life, and that, right? And that is life.
Yeah.
Now, what I try to focus with people is, what are you going to do with this gift? Because life is a gift. It infuriates me when people are, you see it every day. Nobody go to a restaurant. Nobody wants to work. Nobody wants to do this. I'm like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? This is what America was built on, rolling up your sleeves and doing hard work. That's why we're the greatest nation in the country. I'm not going to get into politics right now, or the things that I don't believe in, or what's going on, but we can be better. But we need to go back to that moment of splash in your face. Everybody's had one of these moments. If they haven't, it's coming. And you've got to realize that, Jesus, I watched you, sorry, I apologize. You are here for a reason. And your mission in life is to figure out what that mission is and create success. I put a message out today on IG about being relentless and ruthless with your pursuit of success. And some guys like, this clown always talks. And I'm like, I love haters, man. I love them because they sought after, they tried doing what we're doing, and they didn't succeed. But, they're quicksand. Let's bring everybody else down with us. I always tell people, man, do you need a hug? People are like, that's so gay. I'm like, hey, man, I've got gay friends. I'm not being gay. I'm trying to, like, are you having a bad day? Do you want to talk about it? Because 99% of the time when these people are lashing out at you, in all actuality, they're really lashing out at themselves. They're not happy with where they are, So that was that pinnacle moment. And if you haven't had this moment, ladies and gentlemen, number one, you're not looking hard enough. You're not searching hard enough. And number two, it's because you're content with being where you are. Never be content, never satisfied, never peak out. That's my advice. Like, the one thing that Bedros Keuillian taught me is, like, money is a vessel for freedom. And I did a job interview with him, and this was so funny. I mean, we laugh about it all the time, because even though I don't work for him full time, he's still one of the greatest mentors. I mean, I can call the guy up and he'll answer. And he said, all right, Ray, I want you to fill in the blanks. And this is how humans are programmed, right? He goes, are you ready? I'm like, yes, sir. He goes, the more you make. I'm like, the more you take. No. Okay, let's try it again. Says it again. I repeat the same time. We do this about 3-4 times. Finally, I'm like, sir, I don't know what the hell we're trying to get at here, but you're going to have to tell me. He goes, the more you make, and I like lean in. He goes, the more you give. And I'm like, I don't understand the concept of that. He goes, because you don't make enough money yet. And I was like, and I kind of just came back. And he goes, you notice you're always making money for other people, the government, the SEAL teams, but me. Bedros Keuillian is the one that literally said, March, I'm letting you go. He didn't fire me. He goes, it's time.
Wow.
I've taught you enough where you can go off and make, and we have a number, right? Everything is like, him and people like Dan Fleshman and Wes Watson and all the people, Sean Whalen, all the people I hang out with, it's chess. And they're like most average people are looking at their next move where they're looking at 10 moves down the road. I'm at about 3 or 4 now. He goes, you're ready to make that number. Sure enough, I'm hitting that number, so
good for you.
Because we get so complacent, and I'm guilty of it. I'm so scared, be a risk taker. That's what I say, man. Be a risk taker. Get up and embrace the fear. Fear is, I love getting up every day and being scared shitless.
Yeah, I love it.
About what's going to happen with me. But I'm up. I've got a great wife. I've got great kids. I've got my health, knock on wood. How bad can it be?
Sure.
And I got to tell you this story last night. I know this just it lets you know how I have mellowed and learned how to control the emotional discipline, right? The red, green, and blue. I try to stay in the green because I'm a hothead, man. Like I used to go off, high and right or high and left, Sorry, I went high and right, high and left.
Sure.
But we bought a table, and long story short, we bought a warranty package with it. And we have some issues with the table. My wife's on the phone. She's just screaming and screaming and screaming. And just the lady's being rude and this and that. And, she's from New York and she's very passionate.
It comes through. And
after she gets off the phone, I try to give her a hug and I said, it's okay. And she's like, I just need time. And she's like, ready to fight. And I'm like, babe, we're either going to give this to like the church or charity.
Sure.
We're going to go out because we're too poor to buy cheap. We bought this when we didn't have enough money. We bought it from a place that wasn't as reputable as a good place. I said, so the mantra is we're too poor to buy cheap. We will deal with it until we can get something new, which we can do it right now. And then let's give it away. We don't even need to sell it. Let's just give it to the church, right? It makes us feel good. And she literally looked at me yesterday and goes, what has happened to you? And I'm like, I'm just tired of sweating the small stuff because that's what America does. We sweat the wrong things, man.
Yeah.
We just, if you're alive, that's good.
Yeah.
I know people are like, it can't be that easy. It really is. Keep it simple, stupid, or keep it simple, Sally is what I say.
Yeah.
Military term, acronym. And the minute you do that, and the minute you find, I'm all about passion, but you have to be purpose driven too. And
sure,
like I say, I always say this, do what you love what you do. Because this is the key to being successful, right? Every single human being on planet Earth, right? However many there are, has a gift. We are subject matter experts in something. So if you look at it as a pie, right? A pie, just like a piece of pie.
Sure.
What you try to do if you want to be a subject matter expert in yourself it's your zone of genius, right? Bedros taught me this. What can you do? What is your 5% zone of genius that you can do better than anybody else that you know? And what you do is you focus on that. I teach, I educate, I motivate, and I joke around and I say I decimate people physically, right? I break them down. That's what I do. And Bedros is like, well, there's your business. I'm like, what do you mean? I love speaking. I love training people. I love coaching people. Guess what I'm doing? Those 3 things. So what do? I surround myself with people, right? I don't do all the work. I have somebody does this, somebody does this. So I focus on my zone of genius. Bedros Keuillian told me, he goes, Ray, I don't change a light bulb. I don't cut the grass. I don't do anything.
Yeah.
He goes, because I'm taking money away. Now I have delegated out a lot of the duties. I have a handyman that does a lot of stuff. We have a big house, but I have to cut the grass and I have to vacuum, even though we have a cleaning lady. People go, why? Because when I have a bad day, I need results. So I'll vacuum the lines.
Yeah.
Like
small
that
win.
is the biggest, right? You've heard this. I know you've heard this before, but literally some of the biggest Fortune 500 CEOs I know, they literally will put a vacuum in their office and where they vacuum. I need results. I need to see something right away.
I love it.
And I just apply things like that. And like with Jesse, Jesse Itzler talks about the 100-hour. Have you heard about the 100 hours to, right? Yes.
Yep.
18 minutes a day. If you focus on one task, you will be 95% better than the rest of the American population. Now, again, in that 95%, you're going to be with that 95 percentile of awesome.
Yeah.
But that's all I'm doing right now. I'm focusing that time on because I focus on four things: family, fitness, finances, and faith. They're my four non-negotiables that we talk about, right? And I try to make sure I incorporate all four of those into my 18 minutes every day. Now, some people go, well, Ray, you can't just put 18 minutes into one and neglect the other. That's the problem. People that are super successful, when I coach them, they make millions of dollars. I'm like, well, tell me about that $1 million relationship you have with your wife and kids. And they get quiet. Oh, well, maybe we should get your wife on here and talk. No, let's not do that. My wife, before, I would never want to get on. Now I love for her to get on and talk and tell you, I'm a pain in the ass to live with, but I'm a hard working pain in the ass who's loyal. I have my faith. I believe in what I believe in, but I also believe in myself.
Sure.
I mean, hell, I got my wife tattooed on me.
I love it. I love it.
And I love her. So I'm going to shut up because I think I'm wired up on this lollipop.
No, but the level of competence that rises to the surface in what you're saying, if I had to boil down even all those things you were saying, what I hear constantly is your success has revolved around the people that you've placed yourself with. Yes. And maybe some of those people have come in and maybe some of those people you have sought out. But even going back to the feedback that your wife gave you about the table of like, who are you? Like, that's good feedback coming from a human that you deeply care about and respect. And, when you talk about Bedros and when you talk about all the folks that surround you with, it's not about the things in your life that are making it better from what I'm hearing. And correct me if I'm wrong. I don't.
No, you're right. And there's two character traits that like a real alpha. Now, an alpha isn't this. An alpha is the quietest person in the room. And I didn't say man, I said person in the room. But a true alpha will do this. And this is what betas won't do. Like, so the alpha is the one who wants to be successful, who wants to be bigger, better, faster, and stronger. I surround myself with people who are bigger, better, faster, and stronger than me. I train with Tim Kennedy. I train with Michael Chandler. I train with my great uncle, Don Fry. I train with Mitch Aguiar. When I train for these events, and I'm older than not Uncle Don, but people are like, why do you do this? Because I have nowhere to go but up. I train with Wes Watson. I train with Michael Chernow. I'm trained with my strength coach, Brock Wilson, who's got just grabbed 500 and some pounds and did 2 deadlifts with no wraps, 800. But I surround myself with that. That's number one, right? And then number two, I'm huge on these 3 letters, AAR, after action report. Wow, Tell me what, I do this with my family. I do this with everybody in my life. I have a weekly AAR with my business, with myself, my family, my fitness, my finances, and faith. My family will tell me every week, we do it on Sunday, after church, after brunch. Tell me one thing for each of us. Tell Daddy one thing that he did good, 2 things that I can do better. Not 2 things I do good, 1 thing I can do better. See, I'm always constantly trying to improve. Well, Daddy, you kind of snipped at me, blah, 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 because I kind of snipped at my wife the other day. And then the next day she said, well, really wasn't a big thing, but it came up. And if it comes up in an after action report, it is. It's that attention to detail, right? You got to have that attention to detail. You have to focus on the small things. Because I'll tell you, if you focus on enough of the small things, the big things will happen.
Yeah.
Right? Like too many people chase the dollar. What you need to do is chase the best version of yourself, and the dollar will come. Everything else will come once you start betting on yourself.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Society's not going to bet on you.
Yeah.
They're not. They're gonna use you up and spit you out when they're done with you. But if you bet on yourself, you get up every morning and you have that MOL, that mantra of life. I bet on me. I say it every day. Yeah. I say it. I program myself. I'm all about programming myself, my clients, my family. Some people go, well, that's, when I do the modern day night program, when we're making people say, I'm a man of my word. I make a promise and I keep it. I'm responsible for everything in my life. But like you're brainwashing these people. Call it whatever you want. I'm making people better. Everybody takes something that's good, and because they don't understand it, they have to make it bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and it's that compounding effect. Things are going to compound one way or another. I know a good friend of yours I hear talk a lot, Ryan Mickler, talks a lot about this compounding effect in life. And it's when you let those little things, the negatives, continue to build and fester, and you don't do the AARs, and you don't, self-adjust, right? Recalibrate yourself,
Mhm.
whether it's the good or the bad. That compounding is going to happen one way or another. We want it to compound in the proper direction, not to the point that the pressure blows the lid and things then start trending down. And that's what I hear in that, that sitting down on Sundays and getting an adjustment of where do I need to correct, because it also helps me prioritize where do I need to have my attention this week. Because if I'm hitting on all cylinders in one area of life, but I'm missing on the other, that's
Yep.
not doing me any good, because somebody's being hurt. It could be me, it could be my family, it could be the business. I don't know where it is, and I need someone to speak that.
I agree wholeheartedly, and you couldn't have picked a better. Ryan Mickler's a very good friend. I'm very good friends with his wife. Has the same exact name as my wife, Trisha Ann.
Oh,
We've run a camp up there. Brecken, his son, has come to one of our courses, and they hosted a course. Ryan is the epitome of what I think a good, honest, hardworking American is. Just self-sufficient, great family man, disciplined, because that's what the world needs. Society has made it so you don't even need to be disciplined. Think about it. You don't even need to leave. If you could sit at home and work and get everything delivered to you. There's people that don't even leave their home anymore, right? Like I have clients that are overweight, and they're like, "Well, I don't want to go out because I'm embarrassed." No, go out. I want you to feel uncomfortable being out. I want you to go to the grocery store and shop. I want you to burn calories and come back, because eventually a couple of things are going to happen. You're going to get tired of the way you feel, but while you're doing that, you're burning calories. You're going to get in better shape. So I just try to flip the switch. I always talk about flip the switch on people, right? The glass isn't half empty, guys. It's half full. Yeah. The people that go through life bitching, whining, moaning, and groaning, are the people that are looking at their glass half empty. They're just waiting to die. They're waiting for something bad to happen. I said, screw that.
Yeah.
The glass is half full. You have so much more potential. And then what happens is if you start filling that glass up, then people get a full glass. They go, this is as high as I can go. No, sir. No, ma'am. Let's pour that into a bigger glass. It's going to go down, and we're going to keep going. Well, when does the glass stop? When you depart this earth. That's it. And the traits that one is doing are going to be emulated and mocked, hopefully, by their immediate family, their wife, their husband, their children. Oh my God. So in the grand scheme of things, while you're bettering yourself, you're bettering the next generation if you have kids.
Yeah.
Like people are like, my daughter, she's a freshman. She's a varsity cheerleader. She gets straight A's. She's a good kid. That didn't happen overnight, right? Yeah. But we also have the American dream here. Mama is, ladies, or whoever is a stay-at-home parent, you have the hardest job in the world. Thank you. I'll make sure I give my wife credit for that. Love you, baby. You have to.
Noted.
But my children wouldn't be the way Ryan Mickler is the same way. And I know there's some parents who go, that's not fair. I'm not saying there's parents that don't have dual jobs and they don't have great kids, but I'm saying statistically, please don't take offense to this, ladies and gentlemen. If there is a stay-at-home parent and they have the great morals, vision, value, and dreams, their children are going to absorb that, because we're sponges as human beings, right? Our spirit animal should be either the cockweed, which is half cockroach, half weed. You can't kill me. But it's also a sponge.
Sure.
Right? I mean, be a sponge.
I like it. Yeah, right on. Well, and it's that interesting. Someone said this to me once, like, and my mission, my vision with the Interrupted podcast is that we run head on into the interruptions of life, positive, negative. It doesn't matter. We don't fear what they are. And a lot of times we take these challenges, we take pain, we take apprehension, anxiety as being the burden. If it's not the burden, flipping that script to be like, no, this is what now I need to push through. And that is the grinder. That is the where we are going to be refined. And that positive perspective that is your consistent message is what is so important there. Because if I look at the challenge and say that is a weight that I don't want to take on, what am I missing out on for myself and for others?
Yeah. And, truth be told, I am not because when I coach or I speak, I'm number one, I'm not a motivational speaker. I am a speaker of breaking beliefs, discipline, and accountability. Mm-hmm. And I am not a growth coach. I'm a pain coach. I harness all the pain that I have dealt with in life. And this is how I do it. There are 6 forms of growth, 7 forms of pain. Physical, mental, emotional, social, spiritual, and financial are growth. Great growths, right? But there are also 7 forms of pain. Physical, mental, emotional, social, spiritual, and financial. Sounds just like my growths, but then there's also sexual. So I haven't had a great childhood, so I can focus on all those. So what I do is how I'm relatable to people is case in point, right? My father was murdered when I was 11. And one time someone said, I heard your father was murdered when you were 11. I said, yeah. He goes, I can relate. I'm like, can you? Was your father murdered at a young age? No, he died at the age of 80. You have no idea. You have no idea what I've gone through. The internal struggle, the dialogue, the self-sabotage. You have no clue. But if someone sits here and says, I was physically abused as a child, I can say, well, I know what you're going through. And they'll go, do you? Like, yes, I do. Because I was physically abused, and I was this abused, and I was that abused, and I was that abused. Because then once there's something that is relatable and that people can identify and they can get comfortable with. That's why I'm doing pretty well as coach. Like I tell people, if you're looking to make more money, I'm not your coach. I'm not. Like, people are like, wait a minute, that's a shitty sales tactic. Sorry. But
no, you're good.
No, it's not. My job is to make you a better human being. Then what you branch off and do from there, I wish you well. Right. When I speak to people, I'm like, if I finish speaking and you're motivated, I have failed. But if you have become 1% more inclined to be disciplined, to have accountability or break your beliefs, believe in something, like I make people yell, I bet on me. Say it again. I bet on me. Right. Sure. The adrenaline is going to make you feel motivated. But remember this, motivation gets you moving. Discipline gets it done. It's what you do when no one's looking. And the reason why I love being a pain coach is because of this. I always say this is my conversion. Pain equals growth. Growth equals power. Power equals knowledge, and knowledge equals profit. All I have done is taking pain and profited from it. And again, I want to make this very clear. Sometimes it's from a monetary standpoint. Sometimes it's not. Because some of the worst scars that you can have, ladies and gentlemen, are the mental and emotional scars, not the physical scars. I've got physical scars all over me, but it's the ones that you can't see, right? That's the demon that people have. And make no mistake about it, right? Every single human being has an internal voice, and we have the internal demon. You can't kill a demon. Too many people try to kill a demon. If you were sexually molested or abused as a child or physically abused as a child, you are always going to have triggers that ignite them.
Sure.
But if you can dissect them, understand them, and try to, if you drive down a road and that road reminds you of something, guess what? I won't drive down that damn road. I won't. If the smell of something, like going to a car, whatever, just avoid it at all cost if you can. That bear is sleeping, but it will always wake up if you allow it to. And it's just like that with anything in life. You can't really kill anything. Yeah. It always finds a way to come back, especially if it's an evil entity. It finds a way. That's why I call myself the cockweed. I will never, ever quit on my family. I will never, ever quit on me. I have been beaten up by some of the toughest guys in the business, for fun. I do these courses with people that literally, almost having a heart attack. Tim Kennedy, one time, he poked me with a stick. I'm laying there going like this because he's like, look, you're the cockroach. I'm like, I'm half cockroach, half weed. Because he was like, will you just stop? And I'm like, no. There's a video of me training with Tim Kennedy where I couldn't even do the rep of the amount. And I'm apologizing to him. And he's like, don't you apologize to me. I'm like, just so you know, I'm apologizing to you, but internally I'm apologizing to myself. Because I wasn't properly prepared.
Wow.
So what do I do instead of avoiding that workout? I made sure I mastered it. But what does Tim do? He knows. He goes, we're not doing that workout. We're going to do this workout now. But he goes, you can't train for anything, so train for everything. I'm like,
there we go.
Damn it.
Always get you. Well,
Yep.
you're hitting on a really key topic that I know you've shared recently somewhat about, and that is emotions. And
Yep.
it comes up. I think about this often where in my profession, I deal with the worst of the worst in a frequent basis. And thinking about different emotions, whether it's anger, whether it's sadness, whether it's the appropriate times to exhibit those emotions, where I find myself being strong so many times, and take me to a funeral of a loved one, and people wouldn't recognize me because I get beside myself. And I'm sure there's a lot of layers to that, but how do you coach people through, or what is a perspective? Obviously there's a lot to this, but of recognizing emotion, dealing with our emotions, and exhibiting emotions at an appropriate time?
Man, that's a tough question, because each individual is their own, their own cup of secret sauce, right? Emotions are like, it's all about knowing your, like, if you're angry, like I deal with a lot of hotheads. So what I try to do is, you need to understand what gets you fired up. Like a lot of people, like if you're a hothead, usually they're fired up if people embarrass them, if they make them look stupid or blah, blah, blah. But what I try to do with people is I tell everybody emotions are temporary. It's a temporary moment in life where you can do two things with it. You can control it, or you can let it control you. Case in point, writing a nasty email and hitting send. No. You write that nasty email. You write that nasty email. You hit save. You go diffuse for a little bit. I tell people another way that, well, I don't know how I tell them they should deal with it. What I do is I tell people how I deal with it. So just so you know, I do 1,000 push-ups a day. I do 1,320 push-ups on Saturday. How that came about was whenever I was getting angry, I have a punching bag. I wanted to go downstairs and just punch it. It's taking a lot of time. So I was like, what can I do to kind of get over this feeling, right? Like if I want to say something or yell, or, these are the deadliest things you can do. This and this are the two deadliest things that you have. So I just dropped down. I started doing like 150 push-ups. People are like, I can't do that at work. I'm like, yes, you can. Sure you can. I've had business executives drop down and do like, or just squat. Or just go in a squat position and say you just need to stretch for a minute. And to the point where you're uncomfortable. And when you come back up, I promise you, 90% of that emotion that you just had is gone, because it's been superseded by being tired. Because it's just, it's not, the emotions that you're experiencing are just a release of, the endorphins and all that. And that's of the rage or the anger or the jealousy or the hatred or this or that. But it only lasts so long, right? The people that have these outbursts and they do these crazy things, in society, I don't want to get into that, are people that don't learn how to channel their energy in a positive way. Yeah. They play the victim all the time. People that have a lot of emotional problems feel like they're a victim, and they're not a victim. You're not a victim. You don't need to be a statistic. You just need to learn how to channel and harness it. Now, for me to get on here and tell you how I do it, I make my clients do physical activity. You know what? Before you do that, like I have one guy, he was like, what do I do? What do I do? I'm like, can you lay down behind your desk? Yeah. I'm like, just do 100 flutter kicks. It's like, I'm going to look stupid. I'm a suit and tie. Just do it one time. And when you jump back up, tell me how you feel. He called me. I'm like, how do you feel? He goes, I'm tired. I'm like, now tell me about that why you were so mad. He's like, I don't even remember.
Yeah.
Versus get them. That's what the people that get them. And I don't know if that's the textbook answer you're looking for, but I've tried. I can give you the textbook answer. Textbook doesn't work in real life.
Sure.
Like case in point, years ago, me and my wife were seeing a marriage counselor. Totally my fault. Going to marriage counselor. I'm a very observant person, right? With my background. So I'm looking around. I don't see pictures of a family. I don't see a wedding ring on this guy. I don't see a lot of diplomas. I see one. So I said, how old are you? Oh, 28. Okay. How long you been married? I'm not married. How many kids do you have? I don't have any kids. I look at my wife and I said, why in the F are we here? How can he relate to us? Well, I did graduate from, no. Have you been in a serious relationship where you've had issues? Truth be told, I've only been in one relationship and I'm still with her. Everything good? Yeah. I'm like, it's not relatable.
Yeah. Where's the experience in that?
Where's the experience? So my point to this is the experiences that have worked for me are the experiences that I push on my clients. Okay. And I'm telling you this right now, you're talking to a hothead. I am hothead number one. Dropping down, doing 50 or 100 push-ups. I don't care where, I'll be on the street. Listen, push, and they're not push-ups, they're earth downs. Push the earth down. Push it down. Just go. I'm killing two birds with one stone. I am literally clearing my head of whatever that emotion was at the time.
Yeah.
And I'm also getting in shape while I'm doing it. Now, from a textbook standpoint, how do you deal with the emotional discipline? You have to put yourself in hard situations. People that are emotional roller coasters are ones that go through life in the green. Now, green is where you want to be, right? You have red, which is redlining you, blue, which is disassociating from pain. I think Goggins does that. He disassociates everything, and you have the high threshold. But by doing that in a controlled element, you put yourself in these left and right flanks.
Sure. You're
increasing the overall average of the green, meaning you're moving the needle in the right direction. Right? Because if this is your average, I want my average to be here, then here and here, which means I can sustain and tolerate more, right? Because I've put myself in hard positions. Whenever the reason why you have this here, actually, my computer is sitting on my other diplomas that I have from SEAL teams. Whenever I think about quitting something, I turn around and go, Bloods class. Yes, I'll never ring the bell. Boom, 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 done. Now, I honestly think I'm a little set in my ways, right? I'm 51 years old. Right? I stack the W's and obviously, and I also stack the L's, wins and learns. I don't lose unless you quit. Now, if you're going to quit something, which people go, wait a minute, Ray, you're a hypocrite because you put out about a month ago that you're the biggest quitter on planet Earth. Yes, I am. I'm the biggest quitter of quitting negative and toxic places, people, and things. I have literally cleaned house. I had to do that with someone in my family.
Wow. Because
it was toxic. Too many people go through life tolerating too much BS because they think in their little warped mind that if they cut someone out of their life, that it's going to have this negative effect. No, because what happens is people that have that emotional struggle, what's going on, if we want to use the symbolism, is something or somebody or something, someplace, somebody has cut them deeply, right? And they're bleeding out.
Yeah,
and
that
what
wound
we need
is
to
hard.
do is, right, if you bleed out, eventually you're going to die. Or we can put that physical, mental, emotional, social, spiritual, and financial tourniquet on it, apply the pressure, heal the wound. There will be a scar. But look at that scar and remember, like I've got certain scars on me that tell stories. That's the thing. Our body gets marked up. Only about 3% of the scars stay there. They're the stories. My knee, my leg, my shoulder, my cut under my chin. I can remember falling on the ice, getting the stitches. They're the stories that made us who we are. Not the 12,000 little scars, scratches, mosquito bites that didn't happen.
Sure.
And then once we see those, then we can dive in deeper to the ones that people can't see. And the only way that you can really address those is once you're comfortable with yourself and your shell. Like, I mean, imagine I had to have a conversation with my wife about my childhood experiences that weren't good. My wife had the same thing. That's why we get along so good. We both had a lot of pain, number 1 and 7. But telling a woman that you were sexually abused, that's the most embarrassing, get emotional, demoralizing, um, like I didn't feel like a man, you know. And I'm sorry, and
No,
no,
it
it's
don't,
just it gets me emotional,
it,
and that's why we run these courses. You know, I run these courses, and you see a segment, you see a glimpse of myself and Steve yelling, "You effing this, you that," and people were like, "You would never talk to me like that." We inflict, we create, we try to duplicate those type of emotions
mhm.
by incorporating, right? And then think about this: sleep deprived, food deprived, right? You don't know what days up, because what happens is in these courses, the reason why we talk to men like this is we're breaking them down to their bare essentials. They're basically like children at birth again. And then what's going to happen is they're going to release.
Hmm.
And, you know, but what we show you is, you know, I mean, I've gone viral making you this, you that, you this. But what I'm doing is I'm trying to put these individuals in the red. And people go, if I was you, if that was me, I would have punched you in your face. If that was you and you were there for the right reason, no, you wouldn't. It's a
Interesting.
whole
Yeah.
different level, right? And 99% of these haters, these that are talking, you know, smack, are between the ages of 16 and 19 who've never experienced anything, um, or because they still live in the basement of mom and dad, or,
Sure.
you know, they've had, even though they think they've had a hard life, you know, they haven't, right? 1 out of every 4 men, just so you know, statistically, look this up, have been sexually abused in some fashion, whether it's fondling, even talking to, and that takes a toll on men. And you see, I get emotional about it, but it didn't really, I really did, and you'll never get over it. I want to make that very clear. But once I realized that, number one, it wasn't my fault, right? I mean,
Sure.
when this happened, I was like, is it my fault? Am I portraying that I'm gay? Is these are the thoughts and feelings
True
that I dealt
questions.
with
Yeah.
forever. But then in this group, I can talk to other men who've experienced this, and they're like, holy shit, I thought the same thing, you know? And like Bedros Keuillian says, it's not your fault. And I'm like, it's kind of like the Goodwill Hunting scene. I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, I know. He's like, no, you're not listening to me right. It's not your fault. And I'm like, how do you know? He goes, because same thing happened to me. And I'm like, oh my God. And I just like unleashed and released, and just, I'm crying like a baby. I'm a 205-pound baby crying to a 240-pound man who's tearing. And it's like, and people go, that's weakness. No, that's a breakthrough. That's strength.
Yeah. It's
And ever
raw.
since
Yeah.
that happened, I mean, this happened about 4 years ago, I have become bigger, better, faster, and stronger. And my goal in life, whether people like it or not, is I will help every single man that I can, and every single young man that I can, because we do a father-son program as well.
Yeah.
And people go, why don't you do more with women? Well, we have Misogi for women and men. But this is what my wife says: you don't know enough about women to fix them. So,
Smart woman.
if you're a husband, you know,
Yeah.
men, you can relate to that.
Be careful with that. Yep.
You know,
Yep.
but
That's
because I
awesome.
have a 14-year-old daughter,
Uh,
I don't understand the intricacies or the emotional ups and downs. Like, I'm just like, oh, suck it up. But
yeah.
I focus on what I know, and that is men. So,
Yeah.
and that's what more people need to focus on. Focus on understanding the inner workings of yourself, because too many people want to help others before they help themselves. That's what I used to do. And when you do that, you're a fraud.
Yeah.
You're a
Yeah.
hypocrite. And
Yeah.
I won't
There's
do
no
that. So,
authenticity in that at all.
no, there's no authenticity. And that's why when you said that, I love that about you, because love me or hate me, I won't change. Like, one of my, you know, I'm on the phone yesterday with Bob Ritchie, you know him as Kid Rock, you know, and he's just like, cuz you will never change, will you? I'm like, I am like you, just not as rich and not as more vulgar, you know,
Yeah.
but I will not change who I am, what I believe in, my morals for anyone or anything.
Yeah. You
I
know
will
what to
never
take a
throw a
stand in.
friend under the bus for the almighty buck.
Yeah.
And I do believe that karma is a son of a bee. It's only a matter of time. If you keep screwing people over before you get screwed,
It's
I've tried to
coming.
watch my, yeah, but, and I'm a firm believer that if you do good things, if you have a higher purpose,
Sure.
if you live for the greater good, your time will come. I honestly believe that. Some people go, that's such a cliche. I am living proof that it can happen. I'm doing something that I love. I get paid people think I get paid a lot more than I do because that's what social media makes it look like. Um, but I grind every day. But what people don't see is, the 4 hour sleeps, the getting up at 4 o'clock and setting up all the emails and everything. And, my schedule. I mean, I'm doing back to back. I'm doing flying like in on the 14th, speaking on the 15th, taking the red eye, going somewhere else, day off. When you're successful, there's always something that suffers. So like my wife and daughter know that April through June, I grind. Like I know that, right? But I also said, you know what? Next week we're going to Miami. We're staying in a very nice hotel from a friend of mine. 3 days, flying down first class. It's just for them because I am not going to be around for the next 2.5 months.
Sure.
But back in the day, I would have never done that. I wouldn't have listened to the tall tale signs. My wife going, oh, we need a vacation. Now it's like, and this is something else that I've been taught by some of the greats out there, right? And I want men and women to listen to this. Be the type of man or woman that takes your family or yourself on 3 vacations a year. They don't have to be big vacations, right? 1 because you have to, 2 because you want to, and 3 because you're the man or woman that can. That's what you do. I mean, a vacation. Have date night with your spouse. If you can't, have date night with yourself. People go, what does that mean? Take time out for yourself to do something that you like once a week. Go see a movie, right? Yeah. Me and my wife, we have date night. Our date night's going to start being in June. We're going to start doing salsa lessons. It's like, I want to put the flower in my mouth with the tight matador dance for you. She's like, you're an idiot. Yeah. I do. But she loves to dance versus, yeah, we'll do that. We'll do that. And guess what happens? We never do that.
Yeah. You're going all in.
So long.
Yeah, you're going.
I don't even know what I'm talking about now. You got me so passionate. You're amazing. You just
no.
This is the best podcast I've ever been on.
No. This is all. But Ray, truthfully, this is what I was hoping for and believed about the conversation we can have is that from what I believe is authenticity and what I've seen of you is these are kind of the things that I'm getting at where when the noise is pushed aside, you care deeply about your family, you care deeply about how you can impact others, and that's coming through here. And I love that. And so I really appreciate that. I don't know how to articulate it better than that.
But I will tell you one thing that I have, and I got to watch your time. I know we've been on for a while.
You're good.
The one thing that I have learned in life is that you have to be selfish and selfless. And the one thing that each and every person on here has to be selfish with is your why. Like I ask, and I am so guilty of this. Everybody, Wes Watson said, Ray, Cash, right? He's like, he calls me big bro because I'm older than him, even though he's the size of my house. He goes, what's your why, brother? My why is my wife and my kids. He goes, no, try again. Here we go. I know this.
Yeah, you played this game.
It's making money and it's this. He's like, no, try again. Now, Wes Watson, if he has a little bit of language, he goes, MFer, it's you. Like, what do you mean it's me? He goes, how can you be a better lover, provider, protector, hunter, gatherer, husband, if you're not a better version of you? And it was like somebody hit me in the head with a sledgehammer. I'm like, holy shit. Yeah. You're right. He goes, if you're selfish with that, then you be selfless with everything else. Buy the cars, buy this, do that, give money to the church, give money that I don't care what you do with it. But you have to be the best version of you can be. Yeah. And I was like, oh my Lord. He goes, that's what I do, brother. And he goes, Americans have got it wrong. You can't be a better provider, husband, lover, and this if you're chasing that. You have to chase the internal. Once you're comfortable with you and who you are, and you're secure with that, and you understand that you're a risk taker, you got to take risk, right? Entrepreneur is someone who gets up and takes risk. Every human being on planet Earth is an entrepreneur. It's the entrepreneur, entrepreneur, the entrepreneur. I'm both. I'm an entrepreneur, baby. I'm gonna get this shit.
Run hard after it. Yeah.
And that's what we do. So if there's another message in here is make sure every single person that's listening here, your why is you. And now whatever avenue of a human being you want, better husband, brother, sister, great. But none of that can be established without the foundation of the family, the fitness, the finances, and faith, right? $1 million home with a crappy foundation, it's going to crumble. What I do as a coach and as a speaker is I come in, I tear down the house, we structure, we reinforce, there's the word, the foundation, and then you build whatever house you want. You build whatever house you want. Yeah. Put on a 3-car garage, 4-car garage, whatever. Put the hot tub in the back.
But that foundation better be strong. Yeah.
The foundation is believing in yourself. So that's all I got. That's what it's about.
That's good. It's good, man. Well, no, I too want to respect our time on here, but to kind of set the stage, I'd like you briefly. Now, I don't know how this kind of lines up with what you and Bedros have going on and the recent events, but I want to arrive and have you share just a little bit about the Modern Day Knights and the Squire. But before we do that, and maybe this leads into that, you talked a lot about pushing out that negativity, and you had to, clean house. And what are some ways or tangible, practical things we can give everybody listening to this? And I'm listening too. Trust me, I'm speaking for myself. Of how do we vet those things in our lives? Like, what are some key questions, or what do we need to be asking about the things that are in our lives, whether we invite them or they're uninvited? How do we vet to create room, create margin?
Well, how I do everything is we've been talking about this emotional discipline, right? So the red and the blue. What I do is I like to journal. Okay. So I say and again, I don't believe in 2190, the lifestyle habit. You have to do it until you develop a pattern. And each person's pattern is different till you see overlapping fields of fire. From the time you get up to the time you go to bed, all I want you to do is write the time that you get up, what time you go to bed. That needs to be consistent. You with me? As consistent as it can. Any person, place, or thing that puts you in the red or the blue in your life for an extended period of time, like if every day at work, you're like if you start and just write it down and don't even look at it, right? Do that for about 2 or 3 weeks and then just go there with your markers, because I have a pen. Where's my pen at? So I want you to make sure my daughter didn't take it. I have one of those pens that's red, blue, green.
Yeah, it has a little clickers on
All I do is circle what puts me in that. And then I go, wait a minute. If this puts me in the red and this constantly has put me in the blue, I need to cut them out of my life. And once I cut them out of my life, it frees up more time to ... whatever those 3 dots are for you, right? Like, so many people deal with so much red and blue in their life, which is negative. Because just so you know, statistically, for every negative person that you have in your life on the seesaw, you need 7 people to counterbalance that out even. So if you have 6 employees and one's negative, there's no tourniquet that can stop that unless you cut that off, get rid of that negative entity and put it back on.
Catastrophic, yeah.
That's how I do it. I keep it that simple, and then from there you can get more complicated. But it's a very simplistic process or system. Just what puts me in the red and the blue all the time.
Sure.
That I'm not controlling. I'm not controlling. Like when I go to the gym, I'm in the red because I'm pushing myself.
Sure.
When I get the cold plunge, I'm in the blue. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like a family member that's always hitting you up for something. When they call you, you don't want to pick up the phone. If someone calls you, if someone calls you and you never pick up the phone, that's the first person you get out of your life. There are people like, I'm not picking that phone up. I got friends like that. I've cut them off. They always want something. But they're not checking on me. Or you have that person that calls and they go, how are you doing? Good. They start talking about themselves. I got time for this.
Yeah.
Friendship is a relationship, right?
Right.
It's a two-way street.
Has to get past that utility. Yeah.
People that have those negative people places, they're so used to driving down a one-way road, they're going the wrong way. They don't even care. They don't even realize it anymore. That's the symbolism. That's how I break it down. Screw that, man. Turn that car around, go the right way, get rid of the negative entities, and get on the highway where there's all these lanes of traffic of opportunity and positivity and just, I don't want to sound all crazy, and just love and happiness, because it can be that way. Are there going to be ups and downs? Hell yes.
Yeah.
Welcome to life. The only guarantee in life is There are no guarantees, but you have to bet on yourself. That's it.
Yeah, no, I love it, man. Hey, that's good, and I love even the transition to how you're helping men and fathers and sons
Mm-hmm.
do this or understand these concepts, right? The
Yes.
principles, the methods, the foundations. That hey, now this you've been introduced to this, you need to go do the work. It doesn't end because of 72 hours or whatever length of time you're with them.
75-hour fully immersive course held in Chino Hills, California. MDKproject.com. Check it out. Squire Program is for fathers and sons. If you don't even have a male role model, if you pay that course is $1,900, we will provide one. We have them in California. Nick Kumalatos has one in Carolina, and then our other friend has one in Texas because you can they're like what's the word I'm looking for? When you buy the franchise.
Yep.
Between the ages of 11 and 16. And that's squireprogram.com. It's that simple.
Yeah.
You get on board and, we're trying to make a difference one human being at a time.
Yeah. What can a father and son or a boy and a mentor, what can they expect? Like, I've never been to it. I can't wait. My
Great
son
question.
is 4. My son is 4, but like,
It's
why
just
why that?
Yeah, it's just a recalibration, like you talked about, and it's because here's the thing: as your son gets older, he's going to know everything. You're going to tell him things he's not going to relate. Right? Same thing I did with Ryan Mickler and his son. I told Brecken something. He goes, "Mr. Cash, that's the most amazing thing I did." And Ryan's like, "Are you kidding me? I've been telling you this since you were born." Sometimes young men just need an outside perspective from someone else, and like the importance of a handshake, a hug. It's okay to tell your father you love him. Mm. Real men are not ashamed to tell other men they love them if they're important in their life. You don't go around just telling people you love them. You'd be a freak. Tell your father you love you. Tell your brother you love him. Tell your mom you love him and appreciate him, right? Be respectful to women, right? Mom and dad are not an ATM machine. We do physical training. Physical fitness is the key. Physical fitness is the rawest form of discipline that a human being can have because it doesn't cost anything except your time. And that's what I tell these young men, right? Like my wife tells me, she loves that I'm an animal. She loves that I'm a gentle animal.
Yeah.
I love the fact that my wife dresses up in heels. I told her if I wanted someone to be in flats, I would have dated a boy. My wife said if I wanted to date somebody that was a sissy, I would have dated a girl. That's fine. But that works for us. And some people go, that's too savage. You can't say that. Yes, I can. Mm-hmm. Yes, I can. Men need to be savages, but a savage is a savage servant. Someone that knows when and when not to be violent, when and when not to be kind, when and when not to love. That is a savage servant.
Yeah, perfect. Well said. The understanding self-control is such a big piece of when I train civilians and active shooter stuff. I get to that point and I talk about it's okay to be violent. What sets us apart as the protectors out there is that we know when to do that. And we know the consequences of being violent. Even righteous violence has consequences to it.
Yes.
And you need to be able to work through that. And so I'm so glad you brought that up because that is just something that people sit back and their eyes get big. And it's not something that our culture wants us to be saying is it's okay to be violent. But what does that mean? And is it controlled? Is it uncontrolled? What is violence of action? And well said. Good point. Thank you for just, wherever that came from.
And I love violence of action when needed, right? A disciplined, deadly man knows when and when not to use it. An undisciplined man overuses it and abuses it. And usually it's for the lesser of whatever species it is, right? Where a real man will, like if you come after me and my family, I will defend it against 1, 3, 5. It doesn't matter the consequence. You will know I'm there just because that's my duty. When I took a knee to my wife and I said, will you? She chose me. You don't get to choose your kids. The only thing you get to choose is your spouse. And make no mistake about it, gentlemen, she chose you. You asked her, she chose you.
Yeah, I like it. Hey, well, I do like to end podcasts with this question. You probably hit on some of this, but Ray, what are you learning now? Like, what is setting you up? What is at the forefront right now in your place and time that is you're looking into the rest of this year, and what are you learning now?
Um, well, I know it sounds corny, but right now I'm working on I know you're gonna laugh at me, but the meditation.
Okay.
I know this isn't what I'm learning. It has nothing to do with business right now. It has to do with me. The more successful that I become with myself, the more successful that I become in general. So I'm doing a lot of internal work, breathing, keeping my cool, you know, doing the ice baths and stuff like that. Some people are
Sure.
like, you've already done that stuff. Yes, I know, but I'm getting more in tune with my body. I'm in better shape than I've ever been. I'm eating cleaner, eating better. I really think that I'm a direct reflection of what I eat, because as humans, we have been being evaluated and judged since the day we're born to the day we die. So I am constantly working to better myself physically, mentally, emotionally, socially, spiritually, financially, because that's my growth. I'm really working on the growth. There's no one thing that I'm working on. Some people are always like, I'm working on this. That's not me. As a whole, I don't believe in balance. I believe in synergy. I'm trying to create a better, more positive synergy of myself so I can portray that on the people that need my coaching clients, my family, the world, if they want to hear it. When I'm speaking to thousands of people know when I come, man, they know what you're getting. In case of war, break glass. I love life, and I'm going to keep doing it.
Yeah, no, that shines through, man. Well, look, I'm going to sync everything up in the show notes, and we're going to get how
Yeah.
people get in contact. But how can people really engage with you? What's the best way, whether it's socials, website, and
Yeah.
how
My
can people
website is raycashcare.com. You can go to my website or just hit me on IG, Ray Cash Care, on Blue Check. If you hit me up on Facebook, Ray Cash Care, Blue Check, or on LinkedIn. I think I'm just Cash Care because there's another Ray Cash Care. But that's where you can hit me up at. I answer every and all IG message, whatever, as long as it is in a professional manner. If it's not, my favorite button is block and move on.
No, I like it, and I can speak to that, man. Just being able to reach out to a guy like yourself who has accomplished so much, and for you to respond and give me the time of day, man, much respect.
Oh, I love it. Well, thank
that.
you so much for having me. It's been a great podcast. And like I said, let me know when I can help promote and push this. I love it. I love the message. I love your vision. Let's keep it going.
Cool, man. No, I appreciate it. And with that, brother, you take care. You enjoy this holiday weekend with your family. Really pour into them. And it was wonderful to get to spend this time with you. Thank you again.
Thank you.